Okay, so I need to tell you something that happened to me about 3 months ago, and I promise this is going somewhere. I was sitting at a coffee shop, just, minding my own business, waiting for my order, and I opened Instagram. Bad idea, by the way. Always a bad idea.
Oh no, I already know where this is going.
And in literally 30 seconds, David, I saw a wedding, a promotion announcement, someone's new apartment with those gorgeous floor-to-ceiling windows, a baby announcement, and someone running a half marathon.
In 30 seconds?
30 seconds.
That is a lot of life happening to other people.
And I just sat there with my coffee, and I thought, am I behind? Like, is everyone moving forward and I somehow missed the memo?
That feeling has a name, by the way.
I know, and that's exactly what we're talking about today.
Because if you've ever scrolled through your phone and suddenly felt this weird mix of happiness for other people and a quiet panic about your own life, you're not broken. You're just human.
And you are definitely not alone.
Welcome to EnglishFB. I'm David.
And I'm Sarah. And today we are going deep on something that honestly almost nobody talks about out loud, even though almost everyone feels it.
That specific feeling, that quiet, uncomfortable voice that says, everyone else is figuring it out. What's wrong with me?
Do you feel left behind?
Yeah, that one.
Can I go first? Because I have a story about this, and it's a little embarrassing, but I think it's worth telling.
Please, yes.
Okay, so 2 years ago, I went to my university reunion, and I was actually excited. I hadn't seen these people in years. I thought it was going to be fun.
And
I walked in, and within the first 10 minutes, 3 different people said to me, "Oh, David, are you married yet? No. Do you have kids? No. What are you doing for work?" And I told them, and one guy literally said, "Oh, still doing that."
Still doing that. Oh, wow.
Still doing that. Like it was temporary. Like at some point I was supposed to have upgraded to something more impressive.
That word still is doing a lot of work in that sentence.
So much work. And here's the thing. I drove home that night feeling terrible, like genuinely deflated. And it took me a while to figure out why. Because on paper, my life was fine. I liked my job, I had good friends, I was healthy. But somehow, being in that room made me feel like I was losing a race I didn't even know I'd signed up for.
A race you didn't sign up for. I think that's the key phrase right there.
Right? Nobody handed me a scorecard that said married by 28, house by 30, corner office by 32, but somehow I had one in my head.
We all have one. That's the terrifying part.
So let's actually dig into this because I think it's worth asking, where does this feeling come from? Like, why do we feel left behind in the first place?
Okay, so part of it is just biology, honestly. Humans are social creatures. We've always compared ourselves to the people around us. Like thousands of years ago, that was actually useful. You look around and think, okay, how am I doing compared to the group? Because being part of the group meant survival.
So our brains are doing an ancient thing in a very modern world.
Exactly. The problem is that thousands of years ago, your group was maybe 50 people in your village. You knew everyone. You had context. You knew that, yeah, Amir built a bigger hut than me, but also I know his whole situation.
You knew Amir's drama.
You knew Amir's drama. But now your group is everyone. Every person you went to school with, every distant cousin, every random person the algorithm decided to show you today. And you're comparing your entire life to their highlight reel.
Their highlight reel. That's such an important phrase because nobody posts their bad Tuesday.
Nobody posts the 11 p.m. anxiety spiral.
Nobody posts the argument with their partner that happened 20 minutes before that beautiful wedding photo.
Right. You see the photo. You don't see the whole story.
And our brain, which again is ancient, takes that photo at face value. It goes, information received. They're doing better than me.
That's a word worth knowing, actually. At face value. It means accepting something as it appears without looking deeper.
Yes, like we take social media at face value when honestly, we should probably be a lot more skeptical.
A lot more.
Okay, but here's what I find really interesting. It's not just social media, right? Like the comparison thing, it goes deeper than that.
Much deeper.
Because even without Instagram, even without any of it, we still have these timelines in our heads. Like there's this invisible schedule that someone, somewhere, decided was normal, and we all absorbed it without realizing.
The life script.
The life script, exactly. And it goes something like school, university, job, relationship, marriage, house, kids, promotion, retirement, in that order, on a certain timeline. And if you deviate from that, if you take a different path or a slower path, or just a different order, something feels off.
Even if your life is actually really good.
Even if your life is objectively good, that's what drives me crazy. You can be genuinely happy and still feel behind because you haven't hit the right milestones at the right time.
Milestones, that's a great word. A milestone is a significant event or achievement in your life or career, like a marker on a road that tells you how far you've come.
And we get obsessed with other people's milestones,
while ignoring our own.
completely ignoring our own, because our milestones don't always look impressive on Instagram.
Finally feel comfortable saying no to things that drain me. Not a great caption.
Learn to cook one meal without burning it. Still not viral.
But those are real. Those matter.
They really do, but they don't feel like enough when you're comparing them to someone's engagement photos.
You know, this is exactly the kind of conversation we love having here on EnglishFB. Real topics, real feelings, real English. Because our listeners aren't here to memorize grammar rules or fill out worksheets. You're here because you want to actually use English. You want to hear it the way real people speak it, with the pauses and the laughs and the, oh, wow, I felt that too moments. And today is one of those episodes. So if this is your first time with us, hi, welcome. You picked a good one. And if you've been here before, you already know what we're about. Okay, Sarah, your turn.
Okay, my turn. So this is a little personal, but I'm going to tell you about a period in my life that I like to call the Great Comparison Phase.
The Great Comparison Phase.
It deserves capital letters. So this was maybe 4 years ago. I was 26, and I had this friend, let's call her Layla, and Layla was doing everything right. She had a great job, she was in a serious relationship, she had just moved into her own apartment, and she seemed, from the outside, incredibly put together.
Put together. That phrase means someone seems organized, confident, and has their life in order.
And she did seem that way. And I, at that point, was still figuring out my career, living with roommates, very much not in a relationship, and feeling like I was running late to a party that had already started.
Running late to a party that had already started. That's a good image.
And the worst part? Layla and I were close. I genuinely loved her. I was happy for her. But every time we hung out, I'd come home and feel this weird heaviness. Like, why is she so far ahead?
Did you ever tell her that?
Eventually, years later. And you know what she said?
What?
She said she spent that entire period looking at my life thinking I was the one who had it together because I was free and spontaneous and taking risks. She thought I was brave.
Wow.
We were both looking at each other thinking the other person was winning.
That's actually kind of beautiful and kind of devastating at the same time.
Right? And that moment really changed something for me because it made me realize the race isn't real. We invented it. Both of us were measuring ourselves against an idea that neither of us had actually examined.
There's actually an old saying that fits perfectly here. The grass is always greener on the other side of the fence.
Ah, yes, classic.
And it's a cliche, I know, but it became a cliche because it's so consistently true. The idea is simple. What someone else has always looks better from a distance.
Because you're seeing it from the outside.
Right. And I have a small story about this that I've never actually told on a podcast before.
Ooh, go.
So when I was maybe 19, 20, I had a neighbor, older guy, maybe 60, retired. And from my perspective, he had the dream life. No alarm clock, garden, grandkids visiting on weekends. He would just sit outside with his coffee and look relaxed. And I used to think, man, that guy has figured it out.
Young David looking at the retired neighbor with envy.
Full envy. And one afternoon, he called me over and we actually talked for a while. And he said, I'll never forget this. He said, you know what I give to be your age again? To not know yet how things turn out? That uncertainty you hate? I miss it. That was the best part.
Oh.
And I didn't understand it then, but I do now. He was looking at my side of the fence just as much as I was looking at his.
The grass is always greener until you get there and realize, oh, this is also just grass.
It's all just grass.
That got philosophical.
It happens.
Okay, I want to slow down for a second and talk about a word that I think sits right at the heart of this feeling. The word is inadequacy.
Inadequacy. In-ad-e-qua-cy.
And it's the heavy word, honestly. Inadequacy means the feeling that you are not enough, not good enough, not successful enough, not far enough along. It's that specific sting when you compare yourself to someone and come up short.
And what makes it so tricky is that it's almost always irrational. Like, objectively, you might be doing fine, but inadequacy doesn't really care about objective facts.
It just feels real. And because it feels real, it affects everything. How you make decisions, how you talk about yourself, how much risk you're willing to take.
That's why the opposite of inadequacy isn't arrogance. It's resilience.
Resilience. Say that again slowly.
Resilience. Resilience. It means the ability to recover from difficulty, to bounce back, to keep going even when things are hard or when you feel behind.
And I love that word because it's not about pretending everything is fine. It's about continuing anyway.
Exactly. Resilient people still feel knocked down. They just don't stay there.
They get up, they adjust, they keep moving. And that process, that getting back up, that actually builds something in you over time.
It builds character, which sounds old-fashioned, but is genuinely true.
It is true. Every time you do the hard thing, the uncomfortable thing, the thing where you feel behind or scared or not ready, you add a layer.
And eventually, those layers become the most interesting thing about you. The story of someone who kept going is always more compelling than the story of someone who had it easy.
Every single time.
Let's talk about social media for a real minute, because we touched on it at the beginning, but I want to go deeper.
Yes, because I think the Instagram anxiety connection is real and specific.
So there's this thing that happens. I call it the spiral. You open your phone for one innocent reason. Maybe you just want to check a message.
And 20 minutes later, you're on the page of someone you haven't spoken to in 6 years, and you're looking at their vacation photos in Portugal and feeling genuinely sad about your own life.
How does that happen?
The algorithm, it's designed to keep you there, and it's designed to show you things that trigger strong emotions, because strong emotions mean engagement, and engagement means money.
So the platform is actively feeding you content that makes you feel things.
And feeling left behind is a very effective emotion for keeping you scrolling.
Because when you feel behind, you want more information. You want to figure out what everyone else is doing, so you keep scrolling.
Which makes you feel more behind, which makes you scroll more.
The spiral.
The spiral. And here's the thing. I don't think the answer is to delete all your apps and move to the mountains.
Although
sometimes. But I think the more realistic approach is just awareness, just knowing what's happening, knowing that what you're looking at is a curated highlight reel. Curated means carefully chosen and arranged, like a museum exhibit. Someone selected what goes on display and what stays in the back room.
And on social media, people curate heavily. They choose the best photo out of 40. They choose the caption that makes things sound more exciting than they were. They post on the good days.
And we consume it like it's a documentary.
When it's actually more like a commercial.
Ooh, that's good. A commercial for someone's life.
And you wouldn't watch a car commercial and feel terrible that your life isn't that glamorous.
Actually, some people do. But you get the point.
Fair.
Okay, can we challenge the whole concept for a second?
Please.
What does behind actually mean? Like, behind what? Behind who? According to what standard?
That's the question, isn't it?
Because when you say you feel behind, you're implying there's a right path and a right pace and you're somehow off it. But who decided that?
And when you look at the people you admire most, and I mean actually admire, not just envy, how many of them follow the standard script?
Almost none. Almost none of the most interesting, most fulfilled people followed the expected timeline.
So many people who seem successful by the usual standards took strange paths, long detours, unexpected changes, things that looked like failures from the outside, but were actually necessary.
That word, detour, I love that word. A detour is when you take a different route than the one you planned, sometimes because you have to, and sometimes the detour turns out to be better than the original road.
I took a detour once on a road trip and ended up finding this incredible little town I never would have found otherwise. I still think about that town.
See? Detour is metaphor. It works.
It genuinely works. And I think one of the most important mindset shifts in this whole conversation is going from I'm behind to I'm on a different timeline.
Different timeline. Not slower, not worse, different.
Because a timeline only makes sense if everyone's going to the same destination. And they're not.
They're really not.
Your destination might be completely different from the person you're comparing yourself to, so the comparison was never valid to begin with.
That's actually, that's the whole thing, isn't it?
You know, there's an expression in English that perfectly captures what we've been talking about. Keeping up with the Joneses.
Oh, this one's classic.
Keeping up with the Joneses means trying to match the lifestyle or status of your neighbors or peers. Like if the Joneses, your neighbors, buy a new car, suddenly you feel like you need a new car too.
Even if your old car is completely fine.
Even if you don't even like driving, you just feel the pressure to match them.
And it's exhausting because the Joneses are always buying something new.
The Joneses never stop.
They never stop. There's always a new vacation, a new house, a new achievement. So if you're trying to keep up with them, you're on a treadmill that never slows down.
And here's the antidote to that, the opposite idea, which is just go at your own pace.
At your own pace. And this sounds simple, but it's actually kind of radical because it means you're deciding the pace, not Instagram, not your family's expectations, not the Joneses.
It means you look at your own life, your own values, your own goals, and you use those as the measuring stick, not someone else's.
And your pace might be slower in some areas.
And faster in others.
And completely sideways in a few.
Sideways is valid.
Sideways is valid. Sideways sometimes leads somewhere really interesting.
Okay, we can't do this episode without talking about family. Because for a lot of people, and I think especially for our listeners who come from cultures where family expectations are very present, the left behind feeling doesn't just come from Instagram.
It comes from the dinner table.
It comes from the dinner table. So, when are you getting married? Every family gathering, without fail.
Or your cousin just bought a house, said very casually, but you both know exactly what it means.
It means, why don't you have a house?
It means you should have a house.
And the thing about family pressure is, it usually comes from love. Like, most of the time, the people asking these questions genuinely want good things for you. They're not trying to be cruel.
They're using the measuring stick they were given, the one that worked for their generation, in their context, with their options.
And those measuring sticks don't always transfer.
Because the world changed, the economy changed. The options available to you are completely different from the options available to your parents at your age.
And yet, the expectations sometimes haven't updated.
Which creates this gap, where you're living in 2024, but being measured against a 1990 script.
That gap is exhausting to live in.
It really is. And I think the most compassionate thing you can do for yourself and honestly for your family is to just have the conversation. Be clear about what you're actually working toward, even if it looks different.
Even if it takes longer.
Even if they don't immediately understand it.
Because at the end of the day, you're the one living your life, not them.
That's the bottom line.
I want to bring in another word here, because we've been talking a lot about what we don't have, what we haven't done, where we haven't gotten yet. But I want to flip it.
Flip it how?
The word is contentment. Contentment. And it's different from happiness, which is important.
How so?
Happiness is this bright, energetic feeling. It's kind of spiky, it comes and goes. Contentment is quieter. It's a sense of enough. Like right now, in this moment, I have enough. I am enough. Things don't have to be perfect.
That's actually harder to achieve than happiness.
So much harder. Because happiness you can kind of manufacture. You buy something, you do something exciting, you get a rush. But contentment requires you to actually be okay with your life as it is.
Not as it could be, not as it will be, as it is.
which is really uncomfortable when you've spent years measuring yourself against a benchmark you didn't set.
Benchmark. Good word. A benchmark is a standard or reference point that you use to measure or compare things. Like in running, a 4-minute mile used to be the benchmark. Everyone measured themselves against it.
And in life, we have these invisible benchmarks. Married by this age, earning this much by this age, owning property by this age.
And when you miss the benchmark, even an invisible one you never consciously agree to, there's this automatic feeling of failure.
Even when by any rational measure, you're doing fine.
So part of the work is just examining your benchmarks. Asking, where did this come from? Is this actually what I want? Or is this someone else's benchmark that I just absorbed?
And sometimes it is what you want, and that's okay too. You just need to own it consciously, not unconsciously.
Own it because you chose it, not because you inherited it.
Okay, let's get practical. Because we've named the feeling, we've explored where it comes from, we've challenged the whole idea of behind. Now what?
What do you actually do when you feel it? Because it's going to come back. We're not going to solve this once and never feel it again.
Right, it's not a one-time fix. It's more like a recurring conversation you have with yourself.
So first thing, and this sounds too simple, but I mean it, notice it. When the feeling shows up, just notice it. Oh, there it is, that left behind feeling.
Name it out loud if you have to. There's actually research that shows that labeling an emotion, just putting a word to it, reduces its intensity.
So instead of just feeling it and spiraling, you go, I'm feeling inadequacy right now, triggered by this post. My brain is doing a comparison thing.
And suddenly, it has a little less power over you.
Just a little, but that's enough to make a different choice.
The second thing, and this one takes practice, is to redirect your comparison. Instead of comparing yourself to someone else, compare yourself to where you were a year ago.
That is such a different exercise.
Completely different. Because a year ago, you have full context. You know the whole story. You know the hard parts. And when you look at how much has changed, even the subtle things, there's often more progress there than you thought.
I do this sometimes, and I always surprise myself. Like a year ago, I was really struggling with something specific. And today, it's just not a problem anymore. I don't know exactly when it changed, but it did.
Because growth is usually gradual. It's not a dramatic jump. It's a slow, quiet accumulation of small changes.
Accumulation. I love that word. It means the gradual building up of something over time. Like how a river carves through stone, not in one dramatic moment, but through consistent, patient movement.
Day by day. And one day you look at the canyon and think, wow, how did that happen?
Exactly. It happened because it kept going.
Third thing, and this is maybe the most important one, you have to define success for yourself. Like genuinely sit down and think, what does a good life look like to me? Not my parents, not my friends, not the Joneses, me.
And be honest, because sometimes you've been performing a version of success that you don't actually care about.
Yes. Like, do you actually want the big house, or do you just want the status that comes with it? Those are different things. And if it's the status you want, there might be other ways to feel that.
And do you actually want to be married by a certain age, or do you just want a deep, stable partnership? And the timeline is actually flexible.
Ask the questions underneath the milestone.
Right. The milestone is just the surface. What's underneath it? What feeling are you actually chasing?
Security, connection, recognition, freedom. Those are the real things.
And those can come in so many different forms.
When you know what you're actually after, you stop chasing the wrong version of it.
And that's, honestly, when the left behind feeling starts to lose its grip.
Because you're no longer measuring yourself against a race you didn't sign up for. You're actually running your own race, in your own lane, at your own pace.
And that changes everything.
It does.
Okay, let's bring it home.
We started today with a feeling, that uncomfortable, quiet, persistent feeling of being left behind.
We looked at where it comes from, the ancient part of our brains that compares us to others, combined with social media that makes everyone's life look perfect all the time.
And we talked about the life script, that invisible timeline that tells you when you should have done what. And we asked very seriously, who wrote that script? And is it actually yours?
We talked about family pressure,
about the dinner table questions, about the gap between the world we're living in and the expectations that were built for a different one.
And we talked about what you can actually do. Notice the feeling, compare yourself to past you, not someone else, and define success on your own terms.
And we brought in some really useful words along the way. Let's do a quick run through.
Inadequacy, the feeling of not being enough. When you feel inadequacy, notice it, name it, and then challenge it.
Resilience, the ability to keep going after difficulty. You build resilience every time you get back up.
Curated, carefully chosen and arranged. Social media is curated. Remember that before you start comparing your whole life to someone's best photo.
Milestone, a significant event or achievement that marks progress. Your milestones are valid, even when they're invisible to everyone else.
Contentment, the quiet feeling of enough. Harder than happiness, but deeper. Worth building.
Benchmark, the standard you measure yourself against. The question is, where did your benchmark come from? And is it actually yours?
Detour, the unexpected path. Some of the best things in life come from a detour.
Accumulation, the gradual building of something over time. Growth is usually accumulation, not a sudden leap.
And our expressions for today? At face value, accepting something as it appears without looking deeper. Don't take other people's lives at face value.
And keeping up with the Joneses, trying to match the lifestyle and status of the people around you. Exhausting, not recommended. Truly not recommended.
Truly not recommended.
And finally, going at your own pace, moving according to your own rhythm and goals. That one, highly recommended.
Here's the thing we want you to leave with today. Feeling left behind doesn't mean you are behind. It means you're human. It means you care. It means you're paying attention.
And the fact that you're here, listening, learning, growing, that already says something. You're not standing still.
You are accumulating every single day, even the quiet days, even the days that don't look impressive from the outside.
And maybe that's the most important reminder. The days that don't look like anything from the outside, those are often the ones that matter most on the inside.
So if today you needed someone to say, you're not behind, you're just on your own path.
This was that someone.
We're that someone.
We'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves.
And remember, at EnglishFB, we grow together. Bye for now.
Bye.